Now we'll just blow on it for about 20 minutes. Careful. Oh, it's going in the stew. Welcome to Crudité a Day. My name is Ellen.
I'm Avril,
And today we're cooking up a hot beef casserole, also known as a stew.
also known as maybe a beef bourguignon.
Yeah, a beef bourg. We love a beef.
But we are leaning on a couple of French techniques inspired by our beautiful gal, Julia Childs. And
God love her.
Rest
R.I.P., yeah.
in peace, Miss Sweets. Your memories of casserole growing up, Helen.
Well, it's interesting, when you first suggested that we cook a casserole, my whole body rejected it from walking in the door after school, and Mum would have a bloody casserole on the go. And everyone would moan when she'd say it was a bloody casserole. But we've done some testing and we have nailed it.
I think we've perfected it.
So when you really dig deep into the classic Women's Weekly cookbook, you'll find reference images like this. This is probably what I remember from my childhood.
Yeah, so glossy.
So glossy, bit scary. But we're gonna elevate this dish with some red wine.
And
What else are we doing?
we're going to do some long cooking times, some stock.
Yeah.
We're not going to fiddle fuck around with it too much.
Yeah.
And we're just going to use some of our favourite herbs and spices. And you can pick and choose at your leisure.
Absolutely.
Should we...
Let's crack on. Let's beat some meat.
All right, so the recipe calls for 700 grams of chuck steak. We have this beautiful steak from Hagen's that has beautiful fat marbling in it.
It's gorgeous.
And I'm going to cut this into the chunkiest chunks.
Yeah. How big would you say your
I would
chunks are?
say, like, we're talking 5 centimeters, but I reckon, I don't know, like a yabby.
And you're cutting it quite chunky because you want it to, you're going to braise it
Yes.
and it's going to fall apart.
And irregular size pieces. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this. I've got a bowl here with some plain flour. I'm going to hit that with salt and pepper. And while I'm doing that, what are you doing with those little brown towns over there?
So I'm actually going to chop up these cutie little onions and just peel them first, but we're going to chop them up. How big, Avril?
I think for a regular sized brown onion, you could cut into quarters. If you're using a pickling onion in halves, if you're using a pearl onion, leave them whole. And if you were using a shallot, I would leave those whole as well.
Oh boy. You gave this task to me on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, so, oh dear, how am I going to do this? So I'm just going to quarter up these onions. You want them to be in big bits, don't we?
You're going to be okay?
There's a bit of goggles here. Oh, thanks, sweets. Oh boy. And where are you at?
I am just salt and peppering the beef, and I'm about to start braising. We're braising, baby. I've got the beef in a hot pan with some oil and some butter, and we are browning the outside. Look at that. Oh my God. The biggest, toppest tip. Are you listening, Ellen?
Yeah.
She's listening. Do not overcrowd. If you overcrowd the pan, you'll never get this beautiful brown burnish on the edge. So it has to be done in batches. I think this recipe, for the amount of meat, you can get away with doing it in 2 batches. And when you're browning beef, it always takes longer on the first side. So I would say about 5 minutes on the first side and about 3 minutes on the other side. And while that is cooking, I'm going to talk a little bit about why the absolute nod to the bourguignon is the Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
wine is key in our recipe because it brings so much flavour, and we're going to actually reduce the wine separately over the stove.
Let's do it.
Over low heat. I'm going to reduce this Pinot Noir
And a little slashy
flat
today.
half. And that's how I like to measure this recipe. So what you do is you basically use the whole bottle, but you save some for the chef. Chef,
Thank you.
because this casserole's in the oven for about 2.5 hours, this kind of speeds up the process of the intensity of the flavour. This Pinot that we're drinking and cooking with today is the significant other Pinot. It has beautiful cherries, beautiful warm spices.
Gorgeous.
You know, a cedar lodge on a cool
Winter's day.
day.
And would you say that I'm your significant other?
I would say that, yeah.
Yeah.
You are not my next of kin, though. So we're browning our brown onions in that beautiful flavour of the beef fat, butter, and oil. Pulling those out. Once they're beautifully brown on the bottom. How many times have I said brown? I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and there's some beautiful flavour on the bottom of the pan that we're going to lift off. All right, okay, we're adding the liquids and we're adding the flavour. Our wine has reduced by half. It should be sitting at about 2 cups. And that's a deglaze. Ellen, do you want to come in and add your chicken stock?
I'm ready to come in. We've got some chicken stock here that I made at home yesterday, and I'm just going to whack it in the pot. Oh, look at that. Oh. Oh, mind that. Oh.
Okay, Ellen's added in her chicken stock. I'm adding in some aromatics. We've got some garlic. We've got some thyme, just a little bunch. 2 bay leaves. And blink, blink. I like fennel seeds. You can add chili flakes as well if you'd like. And the all-important salt and pepper, and we can season this later as well once it's finished cooking. And then we're going to add back in our beef and our onions. Flop, 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 flop. Popping this in a 180 oven for 2 hours. And while I'm doing that, Ellen, what are you doing?
Well, Avril's actually done all the hard bits and I did the easy bit. So I'm going to put some butter in a pan. What do you think of that? It's quite a bit, isn't it?
I love it. No, I think it's perfect.
But as we do here at Crudité Day, everything's filled with dankness and flavour. I've cut up some Swiss brown mushrooms. You can use any kind of like small mushroom, really.
A button.
A button. You're cute as a button. And so we whack those in the tray, and then I've cut up some fennel. And fennel's really nice. It just adds that extra, like, we were saying elevating the dish. And I think fennel is our touch, our kiss on the casserole, the beef ball.
And you can add maybe a pumpkin or a potato.
Yeah.
You can choose your own adventure with the vegetable.
You don't have to stick to the classic recipes. Like, have a play. Have a go at it, you know?
What's in season? Ask nature. What's in season?
Hello, nature.
Nature. It's me.
We've got a carrot. We're going to whack that in. When Avril said we're going to use carrot, I didn't like the idea of that because it was bringing me back to those bad memories. But when we did test it, it was bloody good. So it's going in. It adds a bit of sweetness.
Yeah, and I think the key with this recipe is we're cooking the vegetables separately. They're not cooking for as long as the beef.
Yeah.
So they have time to roast and develop their own flavours, which when you bite into a carrot at the end of the dish, it's going to be just so carroty and delightful. Nothing better than a good carrot voice.
These veggies are going in the oven for half an hour. I'm just drizzling a bit of olive oil on there. There's some butter in there already, so it's just going to really... it's just going to get it's going to get themselves all wet in there, and then a bit of salt. Have you got the pepper?
Grab the pepper for you, and maybe should we add a bit of thyme in as well?
Yeah. You could also, I was going to say a bouquet de garni, which is, a few herbs wrapped together in a bit of thyme, but we'll add a bit of thyme in there because who doesn't need just a little bit more thyme in life?
Speaking of thyme, these are going to go in the oven for half an hour, and that's how long we'll The beef means it's been in there for 2 hours, so they're all going to come out together.
We're coordinating our times.
Mm.
Well, guess what? The timer's gone off and the casserole is ready to come out of the oven. So let's get it. Look at that beautiful big red hot pot. I'm teaming with the theme here, actually. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Gorgeous steam. I'm smelling some incredible smells right now. It's like that red wine is just like so beautiful in there. That meat.
The time.
The
It's
time.
not the time.
Yeah. All right. It's time to get these beans out. They've been roasting for half an hour.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Beautiful.
put them into our casserole. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
So again, this is just a really great way to speed up your recipe. And look at those little Swiss brown mushies. They've shrunk and they're going to be filled with gorgeous flavour.
They're going to be little nuggets of
Fun.
buttery fungi.
That's good.
We have the most beautiful, chunky winter vegetables. That meat is falling apart, melting away. What are we going to eat it with? What have we got here?
Well, we've actually done a quick little speedy mashed potato, or you could serve it with a really cute little Yorkshire pudding. We'll actually post these Yorkshire puddings on our Instagram. Look at that gorgeous little hole, and I'm just going to fill mine whole with a bit of meat. What about you?
Gosh, I'm going to fill my whole with meat as well. You can serve this with pasta. You can serve it with rice. You can eat it throughout the week. You can freeze it. You can
Yeah.
pop a piece of pastry over the top of it and
Yeah.
turn it into a pie.
It's actually so versatile. I kind of want to put a bit of mashed potato on top of it. That's a big treat.
That's a great idea.
This is weird, and I probably wouldn't recommend it, but we're just going to do it anyway because it's Crudité Day. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Oh. Oh my god. Hang on, I better come back and chop.
Fuck! I thought I put it all in my mouth. Here, let's set it up again. Now,
That is fuck.
I'm in heaven. Mm.
Is there anything better than that? That's your winter dish, sort of.
Mm.
And summer, spring, and autumn. I love the feel of it in my mouth.
Mm.
That gravy is just so smooth and beautiful and so rich and punchy with that Pinot Noir.
So tender.
Yeah.
The flavors are so concentrated.
The meat fell apart in my mouth.
The fennel is beautiful.
Yeah. And the thyme. And the bay. And that's a wrap on Crudité Day, the casserole special episode. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a bit of a trip down nostalgia lane, but we've just taught you something really different and I wouldn't say elevate.
I think Julia Child would be looking down on us.
She would be.
What would she be thinking, do you reckon?
Well, look, if I was being honest, I think Julie would be thinking, bloody hell, it's a miracle these girls can get their shit together.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're doing our best. Until next time, we'll see you later. Cheers.
Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Oh, thank God that's bloody over. Cheers, John.